Please give him a warm welcome.
Thank you very much, and thank you for the invitation to speak here tonight. I'm really happy, and it's just a wonderful coincidence that I'm invited right in the time when I'm here on a holiday with my wife on a 6-week holiday in Australia. That was just a lucky coincidence. Yeah, so thank you very much. I'm an aquarist from childhood. I kept a wide variety of fish over the years, but at the end I specialized on corridors, on rainbow fish, as Brett says, and I was going more and more intense in breeding corridors of the more difficult species, and quite got some pretty nice results that I'm really proud of. And I want to share today the experiences that I made in the last 20 years on breeding Corydoras. So what I'm going to show you, if this is working, yes, is after an introduction, the basics of keeping cories, climate and nature, conclusions for keeping, selection of breeders, induction of spawning, incubation of the eggs, raising the larvae, the easy breeders for the beginners, and some stories that I had over the last 20 years of breeding cories. Yeah, we have an enormously big genus with Corydoradinae, because they are not all Corydoras anymore, and this is one of the biggest catfish subfamily. They now split up after the revision to Tankard, which was really necessary because everybody knew that the old system was not working anymore. In 7 genera, of which some of them were new established, and now we have to get used to the new names. The species names are mostly the same or just adjusted to the genus name, but now we have to get used to Gastrodermus, Hoplizoma. I'm not sure if Okomayo will stay for a longer time. Brochis before that was known for several species, but it's just several species that we are used to have in the genus Corydoras are now in the genus Brochis. And Osteogaster, this was an old name and it is re-established again. Yeah, the members of our Corydoras or Corydoradinae, this is a heavy word for me. They are living in practically every river system in South America. It starts from Trinidad, from the island of Trinidad, all over the way down to the Rio de la Plata drainage in Argentina, which is quite down there. This is a pointer, yeah, down here. So all over this place, cories are living, and there are so many climate zones that cories from the tropicals are a bit different than those from the more temperate zones, but the principle is for all the same. The basics of keeping, we are talking of keeping now, is that cories are most times sold in the shops for cleaner fish, as a cleaner fish, for the gravel or stuff like that, and this is not true. Cories have quite some necessities that they need to be fulfilled to be happy, and they are not cleaners, and they have to be taken really into attention of the keeper. They are not rest eaters. Yeah, they are not eating the rest of the food that you give to the fish above, so you have to feed the cories directly. They live in groups. Single cories are not happy. You always need groups of the same species. They can school up in several from several species in a group, but they don't do that happily. Yeah, they do it because nobody else is there. They need a structured environment with sand and gravel zones and hiding places where they can rest. So they need structure. Many times you see in YouTube or other video platforms videos from the natural places where corals are swimming in swarms of thousands over sandbanks. That is one part of their life. That is not the complete life. They like or they love sandy places to look for food, but they also need resting places, hiding places. That's important. So if you have fulfilled all these requirements for keeping them, you can think about breeding. Thinking about breeding needs to understand the system of nature. So the seasons happening naturally in South America. The Amazon basin, this is here, has in principle two seasons, a rainy season and a dry season. It's a little bit like the Northern Territory of Australia. It's a monsoonal climate. You think it's tropical rainforest. It's true, but they do have seasons. And this is the key for Corydoras breeding, to imitate those seasons. Well, they have, it's in German, but I translated it here a little bit. So you have a dry season and you have a season with a lot of water coming in from rain. It's here in this part of the Corydoras places not that harsh than it is in the central Amazon basin, but the principle is the same. So you have in nature, this is a chart from Manaus in the central Amazon basin, and Porto Velho, which is also in this region. The difference in precipitation of per month, a difference of more than 250 liters per month, which is really a lot. Yeah. And in Porto Velho it's even more. This is one really important factor. And you see that the dry season and the rainy season, this is the same place. It's really a massive difference. So the water depth at Tefe, which is also in the Amazon basin, differs from 4 meters to 14 meters in this difference between rainy season and dry season. It's 10 meters of water level. And 10 meters of water level, even in the Northern Territory of Australia, is a lot. And the whole land is flooded. And when dry land is flooded, there's a lot of microorganisms coming up from the dead leaves, from the plant material, and they are starting the natural cycle for the food for the fish larvae. This is not only Corydoras, this is also the tetras and all the fish living there. They are living in this natural cycle when all the microorganisms are coming up in the rainy season, when they are developing through the masses of water coming in. So you see flooded trees, yeah, all over the plant can stand that, and all the leaves were falling off and rotting, and microorganisms will grow from that. So you have also temperature differences in the water temperature. And you see that the water temperature differs also through the dry and the rainy season. This is the second important factor. So what happens in the dry season? The animals survive in those residual ponds, small ponds, with no food, practically no food, with high enemy pressures. All the herons are sitting around, waiting for them to pop up, look for some air or something, and get eaten. And poor water quality is really too low. The water is really bad. It's really bad. And this is the key. You have to imitate that to trigger them for spawning. So you have to create a seasonal sequence of the factors. This is water change, water temperature, and food supply. What's the conclusion? In summer, absolutely no water change. So in this simulated dry season, you don't change the water. You lower the water level in the tank. Minimum filtration, maybe a little bit of air bubble or something like that, but not more. And you give little or nothing and low energy food. No good food, no worms, no granulated food, nothing of the good stuff. Because they really need that. They need that to trigger this spawning behavior and this natural cycle. They will get really slim. Yeah, you can see that the fore part of the body, and then the body will go really slim behind that. That's fine. It's fine. They have to become really slim, and they are looking not good then by that. But they need that. I forgot. High temperature. This is also very important. So I'm doing that when I'm going in summer, in holiday. I'm setting up the coils for spawning in tanks in the uppermost rack with half the water level, with just a bubble in, and my neighbor who feeds my fish gets instructions on the glass, no food. And they're staying there for weeks, really for weeks. And you're really there with the fish. Yeah, they're really looking poor, but it's necessary. In winter, also in our winter, when it's getting cooler, then I am breeding cories. Heavy water changes with cool, fresh rainwater. So you start feeding them after this phase of dry season. You start feeding them, and they get really fat. In particular, the females get really thick, and you can in some species you can see the eggs to the belly. And you give when they have reached some size, you start giving them water changes with cool, fresh rainwater. Yeah, zero hardness, low pH, and you can add some humidic acids to the water. They like that, and you can do that 2 times, 3 times a week. You raise the water level to the normal level of the aquarium, and you give plenty of food. It's incredible what quantities they are able to eat. You can really throw spoons of food in the tank for a normal breeder group of 6 or 8 fish. It's incredible what they can eat. And all the good food, tubifex, red worms, black worms, white worms, earthworms for the bigger species. Really, I was digging in the compost earthworms, and they were eating them. Yeah, acidification, as I said, elder cones, catappa leaves. You can also use acids, but leaves or cones of plants providing humidic acids are a bit more gentle. Yeah, selection of breeders. Most of you will know that the males are more slender, and have longer and pointed ventral fins. Most times stronger pectoral fins. Females are rounder, have a rounder body shape and rounded fins. Those are examples. Here you have a male, typical male, big fins here, long fin here, and you have females already starting to set up eggs, smaller compared to the body size, smaller fins. This is quite typical. It's not that typical in every species. Yeah, the breeding tank should have, in particular for a species where you don't know what they like as a spawning substrate, you should provide every possible spawning substrate. Later on, when you know where they are spawning, if they are spawning at the glass pane or whatever, it's easier to give them the place they want. But when you get a new species, you don't know where they want to spawn, and this can be a key. So you give them every possible place where they can spawn, and that can be Java moss, it can be driftwood, it can be leaves. I had C133, and I was really trying to spawn them, and beech leaves were the answer. Broadleaf plants is the most popular spawning medium. Anubias nana works with most species. Some species like spawning mobs, like rainbow fish do. So try, just give it a try. Yeah, and no other fish in the tank. Spawning corys in mixed tanks may work sometimes, but if you want to really spawn them, you have to do it in a separate tank. Yeah, here is an example for conditioning the breeders. You can see this really small male here eating an earthworm. It hardly fits into the mouth. But he was just working on it until he had it ingested. And the same holds for female here. It was just eating three of the earthworms. And then they get really fat, and that's what you want to have. Yeah, and then you have gravid females like that. This is Axelrodi, and this is a female ready for spawning. You can see here the eggs in the body. And this is just the perfect moment for starting the cold water changes. Yeah, and it can be really 60-80% of water change. And the temperature can drop about 10 degrees. Sometimes they're just, after the water change, just sitting on the ground, flapping the fins and looking not happy, but half an hour later they are just starting around. I hope the video is working. Yes. This is Kochui starting to spawn. There's the first egg is already here at the glass. And this is a typical behavior when they are starting to spawn, and they are running up and down the glass. Yeah, just a little slideshow of spawning corridoras for all kinds. This is black Ioneus spawning. You have that here in Australia, the black Ioneus? Yeah. So the T position is sure quite legendary for cories of all kinds. When the male is in front of the female, across in a T position, and that's the moment when the male releases the sperm, and it's yet not really known if the female ingests the sperm and gives it over to the eggs, or if the sperm just flows under the female to the eggs. Anyway, this is the moment when the eggs are fertilized, that the female is keeping in the pouch of her fins, pectoral fins. Here you have eggs of several species. Yeah, in this case the apple snails in the tank were just decorated with eggs. And it's really a pain if you want to collect those eggs. Yeah, Similis decided to use a spawning mob. Okay, yeah, it's even easier. You just take the mob out and put it in another tank. Job done. In most times, you have to collect the eggs from all the places where they put them, and that always happens when you have no time. So I remember very well a few years ago, it was on Christmas Day, and we had a family meeting or something like that, and C65 was spawning. We had to go a little bit later. Yeah, some things have priority. My wife is sitting in the background. Yeah, incubation of eggs, you have two options. One is you take the breeders out and leave the eggs in the tank where they are and let them hatch and raise them there, or you collect the eggs. In case you have a really good spawning, for example, it happens to me that Axelrodi spawned in one night, I would say 500 eggs, something like that. It was a trio, no, 2 trios, well, 6 fish. And they spawned more than 500 eggs in one night. In this case, I decided to take out the fish. Because collecting 500 eggs is no fun. Most times, you have, it depends a bit on the species, 50, 60, 70, 100 eggs, and then you can collect them and continue with the breeding setup. Because when you take the breeders out, in principle, the breeding season is over. Because after they established in a new tank, normally the season is over. Then you can collect the eggs in bowls of any kind, in chocolate trays or ice trays or whatever you take. Important is keep them clean. Keep them clean. I put them in the dishwasher because they really need to be clean. It's important. And they get a daily water change, and they have a bubble hose with very slowly bubbling air. But the air is important. Some species tend to have a lot of fungus on the eggs. In this case, it's better to use some chemicals. For example, this SH2000 is quite helpful. I'm not so happy to use methylene blue. I made not the best experiences with that. So from my point of view, this SH2000 is the better stuff. Yeah, so that's how they are looking shortly after collection. Quite light in color, and you just can see the inner structures of the egg, but not that much of the larvae. Later, you can see in the eggs. Here's a developed egg. You can see already the pigmentation of the larvae, and sometimes you also can see the eyes of the larvae, and the movement. And on the day before they hatch, you can see the larvae moving in the egg. Raising them is for some species quite difficult. The key time is the first week. After you get them over the first week, a lot of work is done. But the first week is really sensitive and difficult. Many species are very sensitive to all kinds of stress. If you move them more than once per day, they can exhaust that much because they are panicking in the tray, that they use all their energy and die. So keep them at a place that's quiet and dark, not totally dark, so a little bit of light, and keep them there. This phase is different from species to species. This is the phase where they are absorbing the yolk sac that they are taking out when they come out of the egg, and they are not eating in this time. So if you put some food in the tray, you're just poisoning the water. It doesn't help at all. It makes no sense. So watch them really closely until they absorb the yolk sac. They can take 2 days, 3 days, 4 days, something like that. Watch them. Yeah, it differs also a little bit on the temperature where they are kept. So no food before the yolk sac is absorbed. Otherwise you poison the water, larvae dead. Then, after the consummation of the yolk sac, they get the first food. And in my opinion, the best food is microworm. Don't feed them with Artemia nobile. Many species are really not, they cannot ingest, not digest Artemia nobile, or they are not able to catch them. Because the Artemia nobile are swimming as long as they can to the light. And then and then only this time they contain some nutrients, and only after they're completely empty of energy, of nutrients, they sink to the bottom and the larvae can catch them, and the nobile are empty. There are no nutrients anymore. So the larvae are eating, but they're starving. And this is the reason why Artemia is brine shrimp nobile, you call them, are not really suitable for corridoras. Much better are microworms. They are easy to breed, to produce, easy to get, and if you want to do something really good, you can how is it called? Pump up the microworms with highly unsaturated fatty acids, hoofers. Yeah, there are some hoofer preparations, and then you harvest the microworms and put some hoofer drops on it, let it stand for half an hour, and then you give it to the larvae. So yeah, no brine shrimp nobile. So this is how yolk sac larvae are looking like. You see here the yolk sac, here and here from above. They cannot eat. They can eat, Here. Yeah, no yolk sac anymore. This is really important. So you feed them once or twice in the tray, and you can really see that they are eating, and you see that the bellies are filled up with food, and you give them a water change, feed them again the next day, and then that's the point of time when you can release them in an aquarium. No, come on. Huh. Well, happy little Corydoras larvae with the rest of microworms, you see. So now you can feed them. It depends a little bit on taste of the breeder. If you have them on a gravel ground or on a sandy ground or on glass bottom, everybody does it different. If you do it on a glass bottom, the advantage is that you have better control on dirt. But this micro coverage of microorganisms on the glass is problematic for the bubbles, for the bubble development. So you have to keep the glass bottom really clean. It must be regularly, daily cleaned. Otherwise you get a lot of young fish without bubbles. Yeah, this is how it works. This is how it looks after 1 year of successful breeding. These are the young. These are two youngsters, 1 year old, with the mother. Yeah, easy breeders for beginners. This is no doubt Hoplizoma palliatum. Before that, the name was Corydoras palliatus, was a little bit easier. We have a saying that you just have to keep them, to put them in the hand under the cold water tap, and they are breeding. It's not completely true, but there is some truth in it. They are quite easy to breed. So if you follow this scheme that I described, it's quite easy to breed them in really big quantities, and that's the reason why they are bred in Asia in millions for very little money. Aeneus, Osteogaster aenea is now the name. Corydoras aeneus was the name before. There are multiple different forms, beginning from Trinidad form over the Venezuela form or whatever. More or less, the breeding is more or less the same. They are also quite easy to breed, and if you are going into coral breeding, this is another species that's easy to keep and breed. I forgot to say to palliatum, they can stand quite low temperatures because they are coming from Argentina. So if you have an aquarium that is only with room temperature or something like that, this is a good species for aquariums like that. Here you have the different sizes of the larvae. They can be really different. Here you have palliata and the aenea, and the aenea are a lot smaller, but they're quite easy to raise. Some species can be bred in a permanent setup. It's only a few species where this is working, but there are some that are really predestined for that. One of them is Hoplizoma habrosum. Before that, the name was Corydoras habrosus. If you have a tank, can be a small tank with a big bunch of Java moss in it, and you just put a group of adults in it, just let them do and feed them and do nothing. After 2 months, or if you lift the Java moss, it's full with young fish. Multimaculatum is quite a rare species, but the permanent setup is the only way it works to breed this species, because they have very small green eggs and you cannot find them. It's impossible to find them. So if you have a permanent setup with a bunch of Java moths, let them go for 2 or 3 months, you have 30 youngsters. Some stories. Hoplizoma axelrodi. With some friends, I was sitting in the evening after a fish fair, just drinking a few beers, and we've been talking about axelrodis, and that the nominate form, the real nominate form with the one line on the body, hasn't been seen for years. And just a few weeks later, I was working at lunch break in this hardware store with an aquarium shop, walking in just to look around, and in the loser tank on the ground that they just throw in what's not marketable anymore, there was just something darting away, and I was looking at it. This is not possible. I was falling on my knees and was looking and trying to see them. Then I asked some of the staff to take everything out of the aquarium, and he didn't want to do that. I said, if there's in this tank what I think is in this tank, I buy them all. Okay, so he was happy to, so he was doing everything out. There were 6 Corydoras axelrodi in it, of the nominate form, that we've been looking for years. I took them home, and they were in the absolute worst condition that you can imagine. They had no bubbles, they were just totally devastated. And I gave them some grinnell worms, and they were really recovering and coming back. And 6 weeks later, that was the spawn that I was telling about with the 500 eggs. That was a tapestry of eggs. Incredible. Yeah, so I could provide everybody with the Corydoras axelrodi of the nominate form. Yeah, too many eggs to collect. I just put them out, and they hatched. This is how it looks when you are breeding axelrodis. I'm breeding them since then. I never gave them up. I still have them. So this is a beautiful species. Very happy in a community tank. And if you want to breed them, you just take them out and breed them, and that works. So this is when they are spawning. It's a bit dark, the picture, but you can see the T position. Here are the larvae, a little bit bigger, and even bigger. Yeah, and this is the picture that you saw before of the gravid female. This is how an adult is looking like, and this is the nominate form. This is with one line here. This is the nominate form. Really difficult to get. Yeah. Parallelus, before the name was Corydoras parallelus, now it's Hoplizoma parallelum. There are some forms in the hobby under this name which are wrong. This one was imported as under the name C2, imported only a few times, mostly to Japan. To my knowledge, the real parallelum was imported only once to Europe, and it's called Super Parallelus. Sold as CW127. This is a totally different species from another group. They have nothing to do with each other. So one import came into Germany in 2005 to Hans Evers. He bred them only once, and I got some of this offspring and have them till today, and breed them every second year or something like that. They're quite hard to breed. It's not easy. They have very big eggs, and they are very sensitive to fungus, to stress, to whatever. So take some time to find out how it works. But if you keep the eggs or the larvae quite dark, silent, no big stress factors, no light, no movement around, just maybe some cardboard around to giving them a bit shade. That works quite good. 1 or 2 drops of this SR2000 in the water helps preventing fungus. So this is the way how you just step by step go into the successful raising of the larvae, and this is really one of the most difficult cories to breed. Here you have them spawning. It's a beautiful species. This is when when all goes well, it looks like that. You always have some unfertilized eggs. This is totally normal. Nothing to concern about. And you collect only those with the brown tint. Yeah, and you just leave the white ones and take them away. They are not fertilized, they will not hatch, and they're just poisoning the water. Yeah. So it's possible to breed quite a lot of them if all goes well. In 1 year, there was a year I was breeding 200 or something like that. Yeah, this is how they are after a week. The first development is quite slowly, but after a while they get really nicely growing, and after 3 months you have 2 centimeters, I would say. This is the next size. Yeah, and this is when you have a whole group of them cruising around in the aquarium. Nothing's more beautiful than a group of parallelo cruising through the tank. Yeah, C123, the Ornatus short nose. I'm proud to be the world's first breeder. I published that in Amazonas 2007. I'm sorry, only in German. They are not imported very often. It was another lucky chance. I was visiting a wholesaler in Frankfurt, and he said, "Yeah, I've got some nice new Cory stuff if you want to have a look." And I was just going to the alleys of tanks, and I said, "What is that?" And he said, "Yeah, I have to look at my," and he was looking at C133. I said, "Can I have some?" I said, "Oh, I'm a wholesaler." I said, "Come on." And he gave some to me. Yeah, this species needs a really heavy, dry season condition. So you have to really starve them. You have to really make them really slim. Otherwise, if they are too fat, they will not spawn at all. They do nothing. They just, you put food in them, and they do nothing. Nothing happens. And the reason is what you did not starve them enough. And they need a really heavy starving. And they must be really slim. So behind this body, behind this chest, they must be really going like that. Yeah, it's nature. And then you give them earthworms and the really fatty stuff, tubifex, everything that's fat and nutritious, they will eat it. And for me, they spawned only in beech leaves. I gave them anubias, I gave them, I don't know, everything. And spawning media, and they spawned only in beech leaves. The larvae are quite small, but after the first week, as I said, it works. With microworm, no stress, as I said, same system. So the key is really follow this system of dry season, wet season. This is really the key. This is the article that I wrote on the breeding. As I showed it before. This is when they are spawning. You see here the eggs in the pouch of the, I call it a pouch. It's not like a kangaroo, it's the fins, but it's like a pouch. And the female, sometimes the female cruises around for 20 minutes in the tank looking for the right spot to put the eggs on. But this is a normal behavior. And don't disturb them, just let them do. They will continue to spawn. Sometimes they are spawning the whole night. So here you have the eggs on the beech leaves. Here you can see them. I think it's because the humidic acid in the leaves. I think. Yeah, the larvae in the yolk sac don't feed. Now feed. A little bit bigger. This is when they are looking happy after about 4 or 5 months out. Yeah. Another story is Bruch's pulcher. Before that it was Corydoradinae pulcher. Yeah, I'm happy to bred them first. I got them as adult fish from a friend who had them for years and had them in a big living room tank. They was just cruising around doing nothing. And he kept them there. And so he gave them to me. And I starved them really heavy. As the same story again, as I said, this is really the key. I put them in a tank, I lowered the level, and they went out for holiday for 3 weeks, and indication on no food. And they've been sitting there at, I would say, 28, 30 degrees water temperature. No water change for 6 weeks, I would say. Only a bubble, a hose in it, and nothing else. And no food. And they were really slim. And then they started spawning, and pulcher is spawning in clusters. And they are guarding the eggs. This is the only Corydoras where I ever heard about that. And I really saw it with my own eyes. They guarded the eggs. The first and the second spawn did not hatch. They were not fertilized. But the third spawn, I got fertilized eggs, and a few years later, my good friend Manja Staden now spawned them again with the system that I explained to her, and this is how they behaved. They are cleaning the bottom for the spawning place. Yeah, sadly, she was not able to film the spawning process itself because it happened at night. But this is a good indication that this is a really different species and they have a totally different behavior. This is the article. Yeah, this is the egg cluster. This is now again in my tanks. You have a cluster of eggs on the bottom of the tank, on the glass, and they are guarding it. They are sitting there, and when I was going in with the hand, they were attacking my hand. Never saw that before. This is how the eggs look like, quite small, very small, yellow in color. This picture is out of focus, but it's the only one I have because they are so difficult to get in focus. And I didn't want to take any of them out in a photo tank. Too valuable. Yeah, and this is these are two of the youngsters half a year later. Yeah, this was my talk. I'm happy for your questions, and thank you for your attention.
Well, it's official. I have extremely fat fish, and I need to do some starving.
You know how it works now.
Yeah.
Johan, I just want to know, do the barbels grow back on the fish, those axle rods that you bought? Because the barbels,
grow back, yes.
Yeah, because they're important for the spawning, obviously.
Absolutely.
So, yeah, thank you.
Yeah, I was asking about that SR2000 that you're talking about instead of the meth blue. What's that?
SR2000? It's available. You can Google it. It's a fish medicament against fungus, I think. ESHA 2000.
Good. So when the Brocas poachers started guarding the eggs, how did you know what to do?
How did I know what?
What to do next? Do you take the eggs out? Do you leave them with the parents?
I left them in.
Yeah?
I left them in. It was impossible to get them off the glass. They were so massively sticking on the glass. I tried and I destroyed the eggs. So I just let them hatch in the tank. I took the breeders out and let them hatch in the tank.
So you took the breeders out straight away?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. That was the only thing I could do.
Yeah.
Have you ever bred giant brocas? The silver ones?
The Brocas Splendens?
The giant brocas, yeah.
Yeah. Not myself, but a friend of mine bred them, yes. We have several species of this, forms of this Brocas Splendens in the meantime. And they are all, it's possible to breed them, yes. Same system.
You talk about feeding them with high protein diet before you spawn them. What was the low nutrition food you were talking about?
The low nutrition food?
Yeah.
The cheapest granulated food that you can find.
As I walk around the room, Johan, how do you remove your eggs? Are you a razor blade person? From the glass.
I don't do it. I have old membership, a plastic card, you know, and I sharpen the edge, you know, and I use this for scraping off the eggs. Works quite good. And the other tool that I'm using is old Artemia sieve, those square Artemia sieves. I don't know if they're available here. Those sets of 4 sieves. The biggest one is good for nothing, and I sharpen the edge as well. And then I go with this sieve with the long side, go up the screen and have them in the sieve.
Hi, have you bred the pygmy cories?
Pygmies,
Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
sure there's lots of different type, but I don't know enough about it to.
they are spawning in the water plants all over the...
On the leaves? And,
Fine.
do you take the eggs out if they put the eggs on the leaves with the different pygmy cories?
Yeah, it's better. You have two choices. You can search for the eggs and pick them. It's the same system. Or you just let them hatch in the tank and take the old ones out. The system is the same. But they're not that much eating the fry. So when you just let them go and have no predators in the tank, you always have some offspring. Not that many, but you have less work.
Yeah.
More for the lazy people.
When you talk about mimicking a dry or wet season, what is the time frame of each in between? Is it literally your summer, or do you cut it down to, say, a few weeks until you look at maybe the water acidifies, or when do you decide it's time to change the seasons?
For me personally, it's our summer. It's a dry season because it's comfortable for me. I'm going to holiday, so I'm setting them up for the dry season before I go to holiday, and then just indication, as I said, on the screen for my neighbor who is feeding the fish, no food. Yeah, so it's more comfortable for me, and plus it's hot, and that suits the whole system. And in winter it's cool. Yes, and I'm at home and I can breed them. So that's the reason. It's simply comfort.
Which does it matter? How the genus? So does the genus identify the spawning on how the Corydoradinae spawns? Whether it spawns on moss, leaves, substrate?
Yeah, a little bit. So the behavior is a little bit different between the different genera, but the overall system, how it works, is the same all over the whole genus, whole family. It's a little bit different with this barbatus, how they call it? That's off. They have a little bit different. So there are some single species that are a little bit out of this scheme. Another example is Corydoradinae. I know they're really expensive here, but if you try with Robinae, this system of dry and wet season, they will all dead. Because Robinae is living in the stream channel, and they're never in those water puddles. This is one of the examples where this system is not working. But for, I would say, 95% of the species of the whole family, the system of dry and wet season is the key for breeding.
As I understand it, Robinae are a substrate spawner.
Yeah. Robinae is totally different. They spawn in the sand, and yeah, they're very different. Yeah.
Johan, just on that, a lot of our corridors, particularly the wild caught here, are so expensive that we're not game to put them through the dry season, because you're looking at, maybe $100 a fish at times, so
200.
you can lose a lot of money if you do it the wrong way. Is there a beginner's guide to doing it? Is there something you can half do that still works? No. Okay.
Yeah. If you just if you try it on a soft way, they will not react. Sorry.
The territorial brokers, were they guarding as a pair or as a whole colony, or?
With the territorial ones, if the tank is big enough, you can have 2 or 3 males in it, but they will be fighting, and they can can be really, really aggressive, and they can hurt each other. So there's a risk in it.
But when they're actually spawning, is it kind of guarding that as a pair or as the whole group all together over one spawn?
Are you talking about the butcher now, or
Yes.
Yeah, the butcher.
Yeah.
No, they are not aggressive to each other. They are not aggressive.
Are they monogamous?
Pardon?
Are they monogamous? Like, do they pair up?
No. No. No, they're behaving as a group.
Hi, Johannes. Quick question. So, have you had any success replicating this dry season with any other species of fish, or just corridors?
In principle, all the fish living in places with monsoonal climate are reacting on this system. Yeah. In principle, the same system works for tetras, for example. If you're breeding, for example, red tetras, year-round, all the time, you just by some time they just stop breeding because they're totally exhausted. And so if you keep them in the season, it works also for tetras, rainbow fish of the Northern Territory. Same story.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Johan, you mentioned, is that on? Yeah. So you mentioned that dropping the temperature for the corries. What degree drop are we talking about? Are we talking down to what, 8 degrees, 10 degrees? 10 degrees.
Yeah.
And they'll take that without any trouble for a period of time.
Yeah, they're not looking happy after the water change. Yeah, but an hour later they're looking happy.
Thanks, Johan.
On the same subject, where you're changing the water down such a low amount, how do you deal with the things like white spot? Does that affect them a lot? Do you have problems with that?
Never had problems with that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Johan, you talked about moving the fry after they've started feeding into the main tank.
Mm-hmm.
Would that be the main tank with the parents, or
No,
just
no.
their own
raising
okay.
tank, empty raising tank.
Okay, gotcha. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
So in most cases, the adults will eat the fry. Most cases.
And Johan, what's your average size for a spawning tank? I know the fish size varies, but
50, 30, 30. Also,
So spawning tanks 50 centimetres by 30 centimetres by 30 centimetres.
yeah.
Almost our 2 footers.
For a trio or 2 trios.
Oh, I just noticed you had plenty of snails in your tanks. Is that a problem? That works all right? Not an issue? Or?
In breeding tanks, I try to get control over them, and in raising tanks, I accept a small amount of snakes because they are part of the natural cycle, but I don't let them get too much.
Yeah, okay.
Too many.
That's right.
Anybody else? Any burning questions?
Only, you know how you said about the temperature drop?
Hang on.
Is it dropping 10 degrees or are you going down to 10 degrees?
It's more or less dropping because if you just take out 45-50% of water and then you put cold water in, you have a drop.
But it's not actually, so what are you starting at 30 or something and it's going 24?
No.
Okay.
1 cent. Water out, water in.
Yeah. No, I mean, sorry, what is the starting temp and what's the end temp? You know, someone here wanting to replicate it?
It comes out of the cistern. It has in winter it has about 10-15 degrees. The fresh water. It's really cold. Germany is a cold country in the winter.
Yeah, so you're going from 25 to 50. So you're
Yeah, like that. From 25 to 15, so something like that. Mm.
I didn't see any rainbow fish in that presentation. I'm very disappointed.
Sorry about that. I can show you, I have all my rainbow fish presentation on this computer, so if you want to see a rainbow fish presentation, I'm happy to do that.
I just wanted to ask, how many times would you do the spawns or the water changes in one season?
Per season?
Yeah. Three?
2-3 times per week.
Per week, but
Yeah.
for that season, summer, winter, how many?
Yeah, the season ends when the females are empty. So if they have 3, maybe 4 really heavy spawns, then they are empty.
No more bets? No more bets, folks? Fantastic. All right, can we all put our hands together, please, for Johannes?